Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, and today I'll be reading a multi-character listener by me. So let's get into it. Scaramouche. Scaramouche has been very busy lately, and when he came home, he usually didn't have energy for anything. For the most part, the most that you would get from him was a kiss on the cheek, or at best, a hug. But that was all. And you were getting a little bit irritated with that. You wanted more attention from him, more love and affection, and it wasn't like you could force him to do that. It felt too embarrassing to demand that of him, especially when he should love you enough to do it by himself. That's why you had a lot of hesitation when it came to that, and decided perhaps there was a better way to do this than demanding it. That's why you decided to rile him up in your own way. You had just stayed in your room for the entire morning, putting on a nice dress, albeit a little bit revealing, but it would be just for him anyway, so it was not like that mattered. And then you just faked him on, loud enough for him to hear, and you waited for the results after. Needless to say, the results were quite fast, because then Scaramouche had just opened the door to your room, poking his head in with a reddened face. "Lion, what are you doing?" he asked, feeling his throat a little bit dry. And as he looked at you and just thought of what you were doing, it made him blush even brighter. "Oh, Skira, don't you just want to come with me here on bed?" Um, what are you talking about, Lion? You should wear something else. That's too revealing." And then he started to pout. "So you don't like it then? That's it, right?" He immediately shook his head after, though, and decided to just sit next to you and tried to regain control of his breathing. Can you truly blame him? That was just a little bit too surprising for him, and it was still quite early in the morning. He just had to get his bearings, and then, maybe then, he will spoil you and treat you right. Venti? Venti was really just an absolute sweetheart most of the time, and sometimes you just wanted to embarrass him or tease him to see how he would react. Because despite the fact that he was an Archon, he sometimes had hilarious reactions to being teased or embarrassed. It was easy to get a reaction out of him, you discovered, since this was his first romantic relationship, and many things about it were very new to him. He had no idea how to deal with it, how to adjust, but he was just simply glad that you were there with him, helping him all the way. He was relieved that he had you, but little does he know that he was in for quite a thing today. You had wanted to tease him a little bit, especially since you were a little bit salty about something he did, and decided to get back at him for tickling you in front of your friends and making you a blushing mess. So it was only fair that you would make him blush in your own way. And though there might not be anyone around, perhaps you won't need that here. Because then, as you made a loud moaning noise from your room, Wendy's face became incredibly red. And seconds later, he was in your room, just wondering what was going on. And you acted completely normal, making him think that he was imagining it, which made him even more embarrassed. And after a little bit, well, not so much of a little bit, as it was 30 minutes of him wondering and being embarrassed over this, you went over to him and told him the truth, watching as his face got a little bit red, and he just pouted, while he leaned in and kissed that pout off his cute face. "Come on, Venti. At least now you know how I sound like when I—" "Oh, Ryan, stop it. Stop teasing me," he said, and you couldn't help but giggle. And soon enough, He was giggling right along with you. You were just happy to see him blush and laugh like that. And though this was meant to be revenge, perhaps he was too cute for it. Xiao? Xiao was an absolute sweetheart, and you knew this would absolutely destroy him. And though you knew that, you still wanted to do this, to go with the plan. You had wanted to tease him a little bit, mostly because he hardly ever pays attention to you, in the romantic, intimate sense of being a lover. You had no idea how to describe it. He was an incredibly good lover. He would take you out on dates. He would sometimes write you poems, which was a talent of his that you never knew he even had. But the thing is, when it came to touch, well, he was not really one for physical intimacy because he didn't know how to deal with it. It was so new to him, so difficult. So he had no idea how to deal with this new thing that he had to do, no matter how much he enjoyed it. And though you understood, sometimes he just wanted to do things to see his reaction like this, and see maybe if it would spur him into something. You had no idea if it would work. And if it doesn't, then, well, maybe it doesn't. You're not too bothered about it. That's why you let out a fake moan. And soon, you found Xiao in your room. But instead of him actually getting the intention behind it, he was a little bit worried that you were hurt, asking if you're alright. You weren't sure if you were disappointed, or if you just thought it was sweet. Perhaps a little bit of both. It did no harm to sing the tune. But still, you had hoped for something more. Maybe some spicy, steamy moment. But hey, it's just fine. Because after that, you faked being hurt. Because if you couldn't get him to think what you wanted, then you could at least have the tenderness of Xiao being worried about you, wrapping you into his arms and holding you close. I'm so sorry, Mayan. Are you sure you don't want a doctor to see this? I'm quite sure, Xiao. Perhaps all I need is just a kiss from you. And how does that work? He asked in utter confusion. But then, you just held out your hand, telling him to kiss it, and acted like you had gotten much better. Needless to say, towards the end of things, Xiao was beginning to figure out exactly what you had wanted, but he didn't mind it very much.